Hello, sports fans. Welcome on in. It is Thursday. Oh boy, is this going to be a good one today? I'm just telling you, we got some crazy stuff going on in the world. Hi, I'm Scott Mitchell. This is the Down and Dirty. We're here on ESPN 792.1 FM. Of course, we're proud to be a part of Utah's ESPN radio network. radio. Let's go. Oh man, it's so good to be with you, and I love doing this every day, and I love having you a part of my life, my day, my thoughts, my take on sports. We're going to get down and dirty today. It's very dirty today, folks. I just want you to know. If you miss a part of the show, don't worry about it. Just download the podcast version and do all that stuff you do. Okay, we are going to start off the show with none other than hot headlines, and they are hot, baby. I mean, they are hot. All righty, sports fans. Are you ready for this one? This is as hot as they get, baby. No, it's not the gambling thing in the NBA. We'll get to that in a minute. But in local news, in local hottest of hottest news, the Jetstar 2 is retiring at Lagoon. They're terminating it. They've even extended their season by 2 weeks, just so people can have a chance to ride the Jetstar 2 before it goes into the mothballs. Now, if you grew up in Utah, as I did, at a certain time, as I did, the 70s, early 80s, the Jetstar 2 was the coolest thing that there was in the state of Utah. I'm telling you, nothing was more magical than the Jetstar 2. Man, that thing circled up and then it came down and it did all the things that it did, boy. And that was a ride. Now it's so irrelevant today. But it crushed me to hear that the Jetstar 2 was retired. To me, that was Lagoon. But now I know it's far surpassed that. Now, just so you all know, I shed a tear over the Jetstar 2 retiring. Let's move on. According to the FBI, there's a serious gambling ring that has been discovered. There have been arrests. It involves players. It involves coaches. It is a big deal. It's tied all the way back to the good old mafia. Some of the biggest and brightest stars in the mafia, the Gambinos, you name it, I don't know. Anyways, there's 5 families, and a few of them are involved in this. It's a big freaking deal. The director of the FBI, Kash Patel, had this to say about what just transpired. All right, there you have it. So he, like you said, he listed the names, but the FBI says, day in and day out, we just follow the money, and this is the results of everything. And it was 34 subjects were arrested, and they included NBA players, coaches who allegedly took advantage of their positions of power to rig gambling systems for their own benefit. Which eventually enriched some of the most notorious crime networks in the world, which is what he said. Wow. Okay. The first thing that comes to my mind, because it has from the beginning of this, the temptation of gambling, the intertwining relationship between all of the major sports and gambling is going to do nothing but what just happened. Now, everyone, I think, gambled on this in sports, and eventually they may lose. And this is a massive deal. It's a massive deal for so many reasons, but first of all, it's a massive deal because this has been going on. This investigation's been going on for years. Like, it's not like, oh well, we just found out yesterday, so we can go round these guys up. They have been following this for years. The FBI said a confidential source recorded more than 3,000 phone calls and meetings with the targets of its investigation. The source introduced undercover agents to the targets and participated in a rigged poker game. And you go, okay, well, they were just gambling on their own. They weren't doing. No. It involves the issue of prop bets, and I'm sure you know what prop bets are. They're basically you can bet during a game. You can bet before a game and say the tip-off is going to be won by the visiting team. The head coach is going to get a technical foul. Draymond Green's going to get ejected. Steph Curry's going to score 51 points. And it doesn't have anything to do with, like, who's going to win or lose. It doesn't have anything to do with the line. Like, I think they'll get, like, you bet the over or the under, or you bet the spread, whatever. It's all these prop bets. In the Super Bowl, they have over 400 prop bets. And now they're letting people bet during a game. And it's scary because it's, and I'll give you a reason why it's scary. Well, I give you a lot of reasons, but there was a prop bet that there would be a streaker during the Super Bowl. And a guy actually bet on that. And he bet on it because he was the streaker. So it's very, very hard in my opinion, to regulate prop bets. It's very easy for a player to get involved in prop bets, which I believe Terry Rozier was a part of, where you can kind of go under the radar because you're just like, oh, I'll have this happen, or I can make that happen. I'm not going to make my team lose. I'm going to turn the ball over 3 times in a row, or I'm going to, I don't know what, there's a million prop bets. There's a million ways. And so it's a minor little thing. And, and of course, so it's the prop bets. It's the poker game. Now the poker game is interesting. So what they do is they have this poker game and they invite people to come to the poker game. And they're like, oh, cool. I get to play poker against Chauncey Billups, who, by the way, is in the Hall of Fame, was a phenomenal basketball player in his day, won championship he was a great player with the Detroit Pistons. He's now a coach. And so here's the reason that it's so bad. You have now lost the trust of everyone. Like when you say it's just these guys, it's 30 people. It's multiple coaches. It's multiple players. And now you go, I mean, everyone goes, well, the NFL is rigged. They rigged the officiating. And people are furious about it. They don't rig the officiating in the NFL. But someone out there's got their finger in gambling. And I can't say I feel sorry for these leagues because they are so greedy. And they know that there's just billions and billions of dollars to be made in a relationship with gambling. And they know gambling happens. The NFL has known gambling has happened back in forever. I don't if you know Jimmy the Greek. Remember Jimmy the Greek? Came on the NFL pregame show with Brent Musburger and Irv Cross and Phyllis George. They brought in Jimmy the Greek and he gave the odds on the games. Because people were betting, and they were highlighting this all forever, and they still do. That's why they do injury reports. That's why they do all the things they do, weather, you name it. Any little bit of information. Who got benched? Who's hurt? Who's sore? Who's, I mean, there's just tons of information that go into this stuff, all for the purpose of betting and all for the purpose of these leagues making a ton of money. So it's not some just little simple gambling thing. It's now a perception thing. And I know I've talked about this for years on the show when I've been on the radio. There has to be somebody who comes into this deal and messes it up. And here's the thing. This is what I don't understand about like this whole gambling thing. These players make so much money. So Terry Rozier, who is with the Miami Heat, he is at the end of a $96 million contract. $96 million. Now, believe me, I know athletes can lose all their money, and a lot of them do. And maybe that's where he was. Maybe he, I think Shaquille O'Neal said, man, I got my first deal and I bought me a Mercedes. And my mom says, hey, how come you got a Mercedes? And she says, I want one. And so I bought my mom a Mercedes, and then my dad wanted one. Then I bought a house, and then I bought a gold chain, and I was in the hole, because my gold chain was $500,000 or $250,000. And he goes, I was out of money like that. And it's very easy to have that happen. So maybe, maybe there's some of these players who, I guess they, they've run out of money. I think it's more than that. I think it's the culture of an athlete to begin with. I think, there's this natural high you get from performing. And it's insane. Like it's a feeling like none other than to go out in a stadium with 70, 80,000 people, millions more watching on television, and you go on the field and you're competing against the very best. Whether it's basketball or football or baseball or what, golf. And you compete, you win, and it is, oh man, it is a rush. It is a rush. And then you go and do it again, right? And then you don't anymore. Or you go into the off season, or you go and you live this lifestyle of this massive rush. And I'm not a gambler, and this is just my speculation. In fact, I don't know that I played bingo on a cruise ship once. Well, okay, a couple times. And I won like $3,800. I thought, man, this is the coolest thing in the world. I haven't won since. I haven't been on a lot of cruises since, but I have played bingo. All right, I played bingo. But I'm not a gambler. I am not a gambler. I'm probably afraid to gamble, because if I gambled, then, I'd probably be broke and, destitute on the street. But I imagine, as I've watched friends and people, there's a massive excitement to it. I have a really dear friend who has gambled, and he talks about that euphoria, and he talks about believing that he's, pretty smart. And he's bet on NFL games. And he says it's the most exciting thing you could imagine. And we've even had conversations about, I can't believe that someone somewhere is not getting involved in this, in the NFL or the NBA. And we've seen, we've seen officials that have kind of caught the fringe of this, because that's who you always think it's going to be. It's going to be a fringe player. It's going to be someone who lost their money, doesn't have money, doesn't make a lot of money. And most of the players, that doesn't fall under. And so there's only another reason why, and that's because it's freaking exciting. They're addicted to gambling. I mean, every NFL commercial, they talk about, hey, we like gambling. We have a partnership. We have all this stuff with gambling. But if you have a problem, bet responsibly, drink responsibly, bet responsibly. But if you have a problem with gambling, here's a number to call. and knowing that gambling is a problem. It's a real problem, people. And it's not good. And I know it's been a part of sports. I don't know that it'll ever get out of sports, but it'll take something like this. It will take the people within sports to have it crumble down, because now you go, well, what game isn't rigged? Is this because one of the things that was brought out in this was these coaches and these players are sharing information. They're sharing intel. They're sharing insight. These players were participating. They were they were the fan player, and they basically were having people go on these poker games, and they would entice them to play, and it was rigged. They were going to lose, but part of the enticement was from the fan player, the coach, Chauncey Billups, and others. And Chauncey Billups either got paid a percentage of the overall winnings, or he got a fee, or both, maybe. And all someone has to do is go, dude, just come sit in a poker game. You're not hurting anyone. You're not harming anyone. The problem these players are going to have is they have phone conversations. They have people that were in the games. They have informants. They have people like, this just didn't happen yesterday. They don't just do this stuff until they've actually nailed people. You remember at the University of Utah, back when I played, we had a bunch of players go to prison for selling drugs. And it was a similar situation. It's like, hey, they thought they were going to get away with it. They made a lot of, I mean, I had guys that were driving 2 cars to school as college students, had their own dorm room, had these big screen televisions and massive speakers and all this stuff. And you're like, wait, you're from the inner city of Los Angeles. You come from a very poor family, and you're doing this, and you're in college. Like, you don't have a job, can't have a job. You're an athlete on scholarship. Something doesn't smell right. And they warned the coach, Coach Fossil. They went to Coach Fossil and said, hey, you have players that are selling drugs. We don't want them because they're just the end of the road. And these gangs, these groups of people that are infiltrating Salt Lake City with drugs, they'll just find someone else to sell their drugs and distribute them. So, but if they don't stop doing this, we're going to have no choice. And the players didn't stop. And they finally did enough to where they all went to prison for multiple years. So this investigation is not something new. Now, Adam Silver had something to say, and I thought this was quite interesting. He said, look, we've asked some of our partners to pull back some of the prop bets, especially when they're on two-way players, guys who don't have the same stake in the competition, where it's too easy to manipulate something which seems otherwise small and insignificant to the overall score, Silver said. We're trying to put in place learning as we go and working with the betting companies some additional control to prevent some of that manipulation. Okay. I don't know. I'm reading this just going, hey, we're in partnership with, because it's so amazing, but we're trying to kind of, figure this out as we go along. Like, what the heck are you talking about? That's so scary. Like this could be so damaging to the NBA. I was on a reality TV show, and I had to sign a 45-page contract, and it was detailed to the nth degree. they spelled certain things out there that would make you blush. Like it was pretty intimate and very detailed. And the most significant thing that was brought out in this contract was you cannot tell a soul that you're going on this show. And if you do, we will fine you $1.5 million. And most people that go on reality, look, $1.5 million is a lot of money to anyone. And they scared you into silence. Like, I wasn't telling a soul. And I went away and I was gone for 2 months. And before anyone knew where I was, people thought I was in jail or rehab. I mean, like, where did Scott go? He's gone. I don't know. I didn't even know he's gone. I haven't noticed. He's been gone for like 2 months. What do you mean you haven't noticed? Oh, yeah. He's away on some business. And the reason is that television works because of the element of surprise. You don't know what's going to happen. That's why you tune in. And if you know what's going to happen, you don't tune in. And that's what's so magical and intriguing about professional sports. You don't know what's going to happen. It is not even remotely scripted. And so you see some of the craziest things. The Denver Broncos coming back from 26 points in the fourth quarter. Or what else you might see. And now there's like, who else is involved in this? Is this for real? Is this, and then you start seeing performance and you go, is that guy on the take? Is that coach? You start seeing these dumb decisions. You see crazy things going on. Maybe you see like they're winning by a bazillion points at the end of the game. They keep their starters in and they just keep dumping points. I mean, who knows? And then you start to question, you go, yeah, doesn't feel right, doesn't look right, doesn't smell right. And maybe it is, maybe it isn't. The problem is you don't know, but now you do know that players and coaches have entered the dark side. And they've done the thing that every sports organization has like vehemently opposed. And I don't see how this doesn't happen again. I don't see how it doesn't happen in other sports. I mean, you look at the Major League Baseball, and we're excited. The World Series is going to start. It's going to be quite an interesting World Series. And baseball had all the drug use, and so then they go, well, these players cheated, and they kept them out of the Hall of Fame, or they tarnished, some of these amazing records. Well, he wouldn't have hit, 709,000 home runs. We don't know what he would have done, but he cheated, and it tarnished again. And the people tuned out of baseball. Now, maybe that's what happens. Maybe, it seriously could, but and I hope it doesn't, but you have to question yourself, who else is involved? Is anyone else involved? And what other sports? They're all in bed together with all the betting things. I mean, you look at everyone who has a sports page, ESPN, CBS Sports, USA. You look at all of them, and they have a page on their website specifically towards gambling. So many athletes go to Las Vegas. So many athletes have such easy access to people. And these people know people, and they know people, and they go, hey, I got a deal for you. I'm shocked that some of these players have taken that deal. But they have. So we'll see what happens. All right, let's take a break. I know you're crushed about the Jetstar 2. We'll get over it. I'll walk you through the Jetstar 2 retiring. Apparently, Lagoon has said they're going to do something really special in its place. I look to see what that might be. All right, this has been the Down and Dirty. It's not over. We got a whole lot. We got some fun stuff to talk about when we come back. So we're here on ESPN 792.1 FM.
You say something, Scott? Oh, we got 26 minutes left. So hold on, it's 10:27. Yeah, let me find out. 53. Yeah, it says 53, but I don't believe that. It'll be out by 55. 55 today. Yeah, we'll be out by then.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome back. It is the Down and Dirty with Scott Mitchell here on ESPN 792.1 FM. Oh boy, I'm really stunned by this whole thing with this gambling. It's a big deal, and one of the things, it goes back to the the Lucases and the Gambinos and the Banano and all of those names that, because I've been fascinated with mafia, um, I guess history, like following all of it and just hearing. It's such an interesting uh, part of our American culture, and I'm not a fan of it. Like, oh yeah, I think it's horrible. And it's massively frustrating. And I wonder the impact of all of this on so much of our lives, where these people have infiltrated so many industries, and it's they get a cutback, they get their little take on everything, so that these people are supposedly protected, or they're this and that, whatever. And it's super slimy to me. It just feels bad, and it's just the undercurrent. In fact, I remember my dad was living in Phoenix in the early 1960s, and he was doing work with a finance company, and he was doing some work in Las Vegas. And so Phoenix isn't really too far from Las Vegas, and he would go to Las Vegas with my mom. This is before I was born. And he got involved in some of the casinos, and at the time they had a lot of people who were performers, and he got to know Johnny Mathis. Actually did some work with Johnny Mathis, so it was kind of a, in fact, we have family photos with Johnny Mathis, or at least my parents. And all of a sudden, this group of people approached my dad and said, "Hey, would you like to do some business for us?" And he knew they were mafia people in Las Vegas, and it was very lucrative. And he said, "No, I'm not interested." The guy said, "Hey, we don't kill anybody anymore. That's not what we do." My dad was like, "Nah," I said, "It's all good." So who knows what my life would have been had my dad actually decided to work for the mafia. My last name would be Bonanno or Bonanno or Lucchese. Which one would I be? Colombo. I don't know. Anyways, so it's a big deal, and it's a sad deal. It's just an absolute crushing deal, I think, with what's happened with this betting thing, and it's just unfolding. We'll see a whole lot more. Now, I woke up this morning, and I had an idea, and the NFL has decided that they're going to move a lot of their Pro Bowl festivities to the week of the Super Bowl. Now, if you think about that, they are so desperate, first of all, to make this darn Pro Bowl work. And there was a time when the Pro Bowl meant everything. I was actually a Pro Bowl alternate, which I thought was pretty cool. I quite frankly felt like I should have gone. But nonetheless, the Pro Bowl it was a very prestigious honor. And people go, well, that guy was a 9-time Pro Bowler. He was a 5-time Pro Bowler. He was a whatever Pro Bowler. And now it's like, who cares? No one goes to the game. No one wanted to play in the game. It got to be this really stupid thing. And so now it's a flag football game, which I think, by the way, you could get more seriously injured in a flag football game than you ever could in the tempo of a Pro Bowl. Just my thoughts. But what do I know? At any rate, the NFL is moving it. Now, if you think about this is a pretty smart idea, because everyone who is anyone who is anything is at the Super Bowl. Like, it's the most fascinating thing. If you go to the Super Bowl, like as a media personality, like if ESPN 700 went to the Super Bowl, you would interview everyone. They have radio roll, and they literally just boom, 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 all the way down. All of the, and it's celebrities. I've done it before, and it's fun. I mean, I've done it where I've interviewed a bunch of people. Very fun. But everyone's at the Super Bowl. And so why not do your festivities when everybody is there? They've always done it the dead week. And that's like the deadest week in like all of sports, the week between the Super Bowl. Like, people are like in rehab. There's nothing on. What are we going to watch? You're going to make us watch this Pro Bowl flag football? Are you kidding? We don't want to watch that. Now, if the NFL really wants ratings, they should have the Pro Bowl moved during the WNBA season. They're going to get more people viewing then than they are now, probably by about 10 people. So that's my suggestion. The Pro Bowl should go follow the WNBA season, because it's kind of where they both belong. Like, no one's watching. All right. I'll tell you, there's nothing worse than being a quarterback and having the owner go, not happy with your performance, and publicly saying it. And that really stings, and that bites. Here's what Justin Fields had to say about Woody Johnson. You know what's amazing is Woody Johnson's a massively successful individual, but he's a horrible owner. In fact, he was rated the worst owner in the NFL. Anyways, here's what Justin Fields had to say about his situation with the owner. Okay, there's a lot to unpack there. First of all, heck yeah, he's mad, and it impacts him. He clearly is shaken by this. Okay, anyone would be. Like you do not want like your boss, your owner, to be upset with you. Like that is the most uncomfortable. That's the worst thing in the world. And on top of it, to have it come out publicly. I mean, basically, the owner is saying, "You're dead to me. You're done. You're nope. I've had it. That's it. You're gone. Bye. I wash my hands of you." So, if I'm a player, I'd say, you know what? Yeah, that stinks. That really stinks, and yeah, it hurts. Because I have a higher expectation of myself, and clearly we're not getting it done, and I got to look at what I'm doing. And then he said something else. He says, no matter how we're doing as a unit, meaning the offense, I'm going to always get the blame. And that's not always true. It's not always true. And what this tells me is he sounds like he's in denial of who he is and how he's performed. And I'm just saying a better path to success or to try to turn things around is just go, man, I've sucked. This is on me. I don't care, who else is performing poorly. It's on me. I'm the one. I've got to take care of my business. I got to do things. I've got to figure this out. Because there's a subtle jab is like, yeah, it's not all me. Like there's other guys, around here. And it's a very common thing, a very, very common thing to have happen when you're kind of in that rut. Is like, I didn't do it. It's not my fault. It's that guy right there. And I've talked about this on the show before, and it's really true. Professional athletes are basically hired subcontractors. And the teams that kind of get them out of that mindset, get you out of that like isolation island. Like, we brought you in here for this job to do this, and we basically need you to do the drywalling. And when you're done with the drywalling, you're out. And you're going to be the framer, and you're out. And the good teams go, hey, we want you to come in and build a house for us and live in it and be a part of it and to take ownership of it. And not just to be some little cog doing a little part, and then you're on to your next job. Boom, the next thing. I'm out. See ya. Because if you don't do that, and that's the teams that's where magic happens. That was where the 49ers were back in my era. And I believe there are organizations that are like that today. And they're usually the ones that win. And there's something about, the human nature when you feel valued, when you feel like you're special, you're a part of things, when you feel like your coach has your back, when you feel like the owner has your back, it's amazing how your performance improves dramatically. and there's nothing more beautiful to me in sports is when there's this symbiotic relationship between a player and a coach. And you look at Phil Jackson and Michael Jordan, Phil Jackson and Kobe Bryant. You look at these coaches through the years, Magic Johnson and Pat Riley. I mean, there's just this great relationship with these players and these coaches, and when they have that, and when everyone's not on their little island, like covering their own little bases, it's where magic happens. And I really firmly believe the Jets, man, they all they want to do is just bring in subcontractors all the time. And next, see you next. Bye now. Bye. It just doesn't work. All right. Aaron Rodgers, hey, they're playing the Packers. This isn't a revenge game. Here's what Aaron Rodgers had to say. I don't believe Aaron Rodgers. I believe Aaron Rodgers has a chip on his shoulder with kind of everyone. He certainly did with the Jets. He 1000% had a chip on his shoulder. And it's like, why? I mean, you're just with the Jets for, a hot minute. And it was a hot mess. I mean, it was really, really a bad deal. But I had a lady, she was so mad at me when I made a comment about everyone in the NFL in the Jets world of, like, they thought, man, we're going to the Super Bowl. We've got Aaron Rodgers. He's an amazing player, blah, blah, blah. And I said, Aaron Rodgers is not going to take the New York Jets to the Super Bowl. And I had people just like sending me hate, what do you know? Who are you? Like, what'd you ever do? What makes you think you know this? And I go, it's just my opinion. And he wasn't, I don't know, 5 plays into his career and just never happened. And it wasn't hard. It wasn't anything. Aaron Rodgers is going to be in the Hall of Fame. He's an amazing player. But there's something there, okay? I think he had 5 NFC championship games in Green Bay, and he lost. They won the Super Bowl. I just think of, man, how many opportunities at home can you squander? I mean, in Green Bay, it's one of the friendliest home field advantages you could have, and you can't get it done 5 times. There's just something amiss there. And the estrangement from people that are close to him, and the grumpy look, and just the dissatisfaction he had with the organization and his people. And I don't know Aaron Rodgers, never met him, never talked to him, nothing. I just watched and observed things, and those things are indicators to me that, and so I just said, and on top of it, he's old. And it was more that he was old than anything else. And old means the football is oblong and it bounces funny, literally, but figuratively and symbolically, that's football. Eventually you're going to catch the nose of the football and you're going to get hit some way, awkward, weird, and you're going to get injured. Nobody gets out of that game without having something go wrong with them. No one. So the chances as you get older are more likely that you're going to get injured if you haven't. And that's just the percentages. That's just the quirky nature of football, or as a lot of people say, that's the cruelty of the football gods. Is this a revenge game for Aaron Rodgers? Yeah, totally 1,000%. It always is. You always want to beat your old team, no matter who it is. And it's not a spiteful, awful thing. It's just a competitive thing. But he's not going to say it, but he's going to believe it. And he's going to, now after the game might get over, depending on how they do, but it'll be a great game to watch. And tomorrow I'm going to actually pick all the games because I've been a good picker. All right, let's take a break here. And hey, the Utah Jazz just might be into this uh, sibling rivalry. Anyway, sibling rivalry. I would call it Sybil. That's yeah. Anyways, hey, but before I go, let me tell you about Weight Vision. Yep, those are the guys that made my vision perfect, and it's the coolest thing in the world. I can't describe it other than, man, I can just see, and I was like, oh, this is what it means to see clearly, like everything's in focus, and I love it. They're right in Thanksgiving Point, right off the freeway, UCCU building. They will take great care of you. Just go in. They'll do an analysis on your eyeballs, a whole workup, and they'll determine what the best procedure for you is. Don't wait another minute. Don't, seriously. You will thank me later when you have this whatever vision correction issue you might have, and they do it all. Waitevision.com, WAITE vision.com. Go check them out. All right, this is the Down and Dirty ESPN 700, 92.1 FM.
When you come back, you gotta do Utah Advocates. Yeah, I put it in there. You're all good. You're all good. We just gotta do Utah Advocates when you come back, okay? It was in the second break, right under. Yep. Don't worry. I'm just here to remind you. I'm not here to badger you. Yeah. Okay. Oh, that's such a relief. I'm so happy. I'm so happy now. I can go to sleep and feel comfortable now. Hey, you know how, you know. Oh, I'm sorry. Anywho, Utah Advocates, and we have come back. We got 9 minutes left, so 56, about 56. Okay. All right, 10-4. Thanks, Scott.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome on in. It is the Down and Dirty with Scott Mitchell here on ESPN 700, 92.1 FM. So glad you could join the show. A lot of fun today. Crazy stuff. I mean, the apple cart has been tipped upside down in the world of sports today. I know this is just the beginning of it, but it's going to be a big deal. And they're going to dig into a lot of things. This is something that's been going on, this gambling, illegal gambling, fixed gambling, this association with the mafia, and some fairly high profile names involved, and it's not good, and it makes no sense whatsoever. So, but we move on, and this is some exciting things happening. Now, we talked on the show yesterday, and we had this conversation about kind of sibling rivalries where you have the Utah Jazz and you have the Utah Mammoth. And the Mammoth are like, they're right up in the top of the Western Conference right now. They beat the league leading Colorado Avalanche, and they've already won 4 home games. And we were like, do you think the Utah Jazz could win 4 home games in their first month of the season? We kind of looked at the schedule, and so, of course, they play the Clippers last night, season debut at home. And guess what? They do not want the Mammoth. They don't want them to get up and become the new favorite professional sports franchise here in the state of Utah. So Utah won its opening season game last night, which is remarkable, right? And they, of course, they won this game 129-108 very handily. And, of course, Walker Kessler had 29 points along with Lauri Markkanen, who had 22. Now, I believe I said that I believe the Jazz were going to win more than the 17 games they're projected to win. I really do. I don't know. There's just something. I know everyone's like, this is a tanking year, and this is bad, and all of this stuff, and blah 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 blah. But quite interesting. So the Utah Jazz, of course, they win. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit more about it, but. VJ Edgecombe had 34 points in his debut with the 76ers. I was super impressed with him in the summer. Like, I was like, that guy's a player. That guy's going to end up being a very, very good player in the NBA. And that's the most points scored in a debut since Wilt Chamberlain, which is probably back in the 60s, which I think is remarkable considering, some of the great players throughout time since Wilt Chamberlain played. I mean, there's a lot of them. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, LeBron, Kobe, Michael Jordan, blah, 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 on and on and on. And, of course, I don't know. There's just something, he's got some juice. Kid's got some juice. All right, Cooper Flagg, he was number 1 pick. He had a rough night. I mean, it ends up with a double-double, but he didn't score in the first half. Scores, I think, what did he score? 10 points, 14 points. Anyways, they got waxed by the San Antonio Spurs. Victor Wembanyama had 40 points. Kind of crazy. Yeah. So here's the thing about the Jazz. This is a pass-happy offense. So they moved the freaking ball, had 38 assists, and only 12 turnovers. And one of the players for the Jazz, and this is the thing, right? So this is what we're looking for with the Jazz. Who's going to show up? Who's going to really be that guy? And it looks like Keanu George might have made a step forward. He said, in fact, at his exit interview from last season, he says it was pretty brutal. And basically, the Jazz said, it's time for you to grow up. And so, well, it looks like maybe he has started to be that player, that he's actually grown up. And, of course, he had 16 points and 9 assists. And that was a big part of it. So just really, I don't know, I guess impressive if you are the Utah Jazz that you do. I don't know, Martin, did you see the Jazz actually winning? I think this would be one of the games they possibly could win, right? Against because the Clippers are kind of
aging old LA Clippers. I could totally see this as being one of the games they could win. The question is, can they win against the Suns? I think they can win against the Suns. The Bulls are on the schedule. I think they can beat the Bulls, but the true test will be when the good old mighty Lakers come into town. When the Lakers,
right now in the Northwest Division, which is funny because divisions are really cool in baseball and they're cool in football, but they're not in basketball. Nobody cares.
They don't matter anymore.
They just don't matter.
Timberwolves are on the schedule too.
Yeah. So this will be a fun thing for so let's see. So the Jazz are at they're at Sacramento tomorrow, and then they're playing Phoenix on Monday at home,
Yeah.
and Portland on Wednesday. I think they could win both those games.
I think they can.
Shoot, they may get to 4 wins before. Well, they don't have 4 games in October, but
No.
so they got a lot of road games though, and got a nice stretch there. First couple weeks in November.
Last year they were 1-3. They might be able to flip that around and be 3-1 after 4 games.
Wow, would that be something? All right, so who do you think is going to be the break? It looks like Keontae George kind of stepped it up in this first game, but is he a guy that's going to break out for the team?
I think he's got a chance to break out for the team, but I also think a guy that had a good game last night that I think gives a whole lot of Jazz fans some maybe hope is Walker Kessler. He had 22 points, 29 points last night. He stepped up at a big time, and I think if you're gonna have any big on this team help out Laurie, especially with the load with him being a big like that, I think Walker's got to be the guy to step up. Plus, Ace Bailey didn't have a clean game last night, but I think he'll get his shooting fixed up a little bit. But I really think Walker Kessler's got to be the guy, and he's got to show this consistency of being this good big.
Well, he's certainly been a player that has he's kind of established himself, I think, as one of those guys that's an everyday force, and certainly Bryce Sensabaugh had 20 points as well, and Bryce has certainly seemed to take a step forward. Walter Clayton poured in 10 as well, so kind of a fun night for the Jazz. So they took my advice. See, the people listen to me, that good things will happen. All right, boys, we're done for today. Thank you so much for joining in. This has been the Down and Dirty with Scott Mitchell. OC is next. The Sean O'Connell show's right around the corner. This is 9 day. What channel is this? ESPN 700, 921 FM. Until then, we'll see you then.
Thanks, God. I'll connect with you on the other station, buddy.